The new chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen has dropped, finally showing us what happened after we discovered Yuta used Kenjaku's technique to enter Gojo's body. And Yuta, now armed with Gojo's technique and domain, opens it up against Sukuna, who also does the same. And I just know that from now on I'm going to have a really hard time describing him as Yuta when he looks just like Gojo. So if I say either name, just remember it is Yuta inside Gojo's body. Now, at the beginning of this chapter, Gege has actually drawn an incredible double-page spread of Gojo with the stitches and Sukuna as well with their backs against each other. The title card also reading the King of Curses and the Prodigy of the Modern Era face off in their altered forms. And this double spread just marks this as a significant battle, which would probably last more than one chapter, unlike Kashimo. But some people have also pointed out that Gojo, or Yuta's eye, is green, and some wild theories have of course come out of this, but I'm just letting you know that Gege is colorblind. So this isn't really strange. I mean, just look at how many colors Yuji's hair have changed to throughout the entire story. Now, without further ado, getting into the new chapter, it starts off with Sukuna opening up his domain and Yuta opening up Gojo's domain, and this clash of domains immediately begins with Infinite Void enveloping Malevolent Shrine and shrinking it down to the size of a basketball, which is what we saw Gojo did in their battle. And now inside their domain, which is actually much larger inside, Yuta and Sukuna battle it out. The narrator then explains that the countermeasure that Gojo came up with to counter Sukuna's open domain was the Shrunken Barrier. And this means that for approximately 3 minutes, Infinite Void can withstand the effects of Malevolent Shrine beating down on the barrier. Yuta then thinks to himself, revealing that he trained his use of Gojo's technique and elevated his barrier techniques by swapping bodies with Gojo during the month. And that's not with Kenjaku's technique, but with Uiui's technique. Yuta also thinks that considering Sukuna's fatigue, he should be able to stall the domain for those 3 minutes. The narrator then states that on the other hand, Sukuna also had something up his sleeve. He was able to rid himself of the domain's previous 99-second time limit he used against Gojo by restricting the effective range to the outline of Yuta's domain, specifically talking about Infinite Void. This means that both domains can remain active for 3 minutes, meaning again that this is a battle of attrition. They are on equal footing and currently not one of them is above the other. This is confirmed in the next panels where Yuta thinks to himself that within those 3 minutes he'll damage Sukuna to the point he can't maintain Malevolent Shrine, and Sukuna thinks to himself that he'll destroy Unlimited Void, and after expanding his range, he'll finally kill everyone. Yuta then uses blue to pull in Sukuna, and that's still so weird to say because he looks like Gojo and uses Gojo's technique. But while Yuta tries to use this, suddenly Sukuna is directly in his face, completely catching him off guard. Sukuna then immediately wraps his handless limbs around Gojo's arm and punches him directly in the face. A poor showing from Yuta already, but he then jumps back and then seems to realize that Sukuna can use domain amplification alongside his domain expansion. Sukuna then also thinks to himself that Yuta didn't know this because Meimei's crows weren't able to pierce inside his and Gojo's domain clash. But this whole situation doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and it may be a fumble by Gege, because Kenjaku confirmed that he gains the memories of the body he inhabits, so surely Yuta will be able to see Gojo's memory where Sukuna used domain amplification and expansion at the same time. And it's weird that he hasn't. But in regards to the more wilder theories, I did see a lot of people speculating that Kenjaku stated he can't take over Gojo's body because of the 6 size, but that's actually not true, and I want to clear that up quickly. Kenjaku can definitely take over Gojo's body, it's just that he can't kill Gojo, so there's no way he can take him over. And this was actually confirmed by Gege in a Q&A, where he was asked that exact question, and the answer was simply that he can't kill Gojo. I mean, Kenjaku did try with previous 6 size users, however, he lost both times, so he then resorted to sealing Gojo and using Sukuna as a backup, although he was killed by Yuta in the process and then had to let Sukuna inherit as well. Complicated stuff, I know, but that's why we love Jujutsu Kaisen. Anyway, back to the chapter, the scene actually switches elsewhere to something dripping in the darkness, and in the next panel, it's revealed to be Rika fully manifested and crying pools of tears. She holds on tightly to Yuta's body in some dark corridor and calls out his name as he lies there seemingly lifeless. The last panel of the chapter seems to focus heavily on his closed eyes as if something is wrong, but there genuinely is no hint at what it could be. I've heard people speculate it could have something to do with Gojo maybe in Yuta's body, but I don't think that's the case because there's no reason to swap the brains. Kenjaku's technique only works one way, so they probably have Gojo's brain flopping around elsewhere. I think something is going to go wrong with his technique, and Rika might do something rash. But like I keep saying every single chapter, Gege is just extremely unpredictable, so sometimes it's best to just wait for the next chapter. But unfortunately, this chapter is over, and this was an incredibly short one. I mean, it's literally 6 pages long, not including the cover spread in the beginning, and this has potentially 2 reasons why. The first being that Gege has actually fallen ill recently and is taking a 2-week break to recover. And don't get too excited, I know people have been wishing him death ever since Junpei died, but we need him alive to keep the story going, of course. But like I said before, that's not the only reason why this chapter may be short. And that reason is because it's potentially the end of a volume of Jujutsu Kaisen. Most physical volumes have a maximum amount of pages, so that's why a lot of final chapters have shorter pages. It's just because they're trying to fit it all into the physical copy. The reason why I think this is the case with Jujutsu Kaisen is that most of its volumes have between 9 to 10 chapters, and if we count the number of chapters between the start of volume 27, which showcases the entire battle between Takuba and Kenjaku, then there's about 27 chapters, which means that this chapter is likely the final chapter of volume 29. But I think that if that's not the case, then it's probably the illness, and I really hope that Gege does take his health seriously, and I wish him a speedy recovery so he can traumatize us even more in future chapters. It's now coming to the end of the video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy you stopped by. My channel is steadily growing and I'm amazed at the support I'm getting, and I also have a Patreon now, so feel free to support me however you like. The link will be in the description, and I will shout out names at the end of each video. Thank you again, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.